That's going to be a bell ringer.
I don't think so. It wasn't that bad.
Okay.
It could have been more controversial. We should have let you have some whiskey or something.
Past the fire, past the sounds. Moonshine through the clouds, saddle up, 'cause there's no stopping me now.
Good day and welcome to another exciting episode of Living Well Together. Big life in a small town. You always think I'm not going to remember.
No, not remember. I think you're not going to say it. I think you're waiting for me to say it.
I kind of was. You missed the cue.
But see, last time I talked over you, and you were getting ready to say it. So I'm like, I won't do that again. So maybe just give me like a cue by pointing at me or something. Your turn.
We should rehearse. No, that would take
This is our 76th episode.
Was
You
that
would
right?
think that we've been rehearsing for 76 times. That should be enough.
I still feel like we're new at it. I don't feel like
I know.
we're polished. It's not a polished episode.
Well, when I posted our episode from last week, I actually apologized. I'm like,
Seriously?
Yeah. I'm like, I'm so sorry,
About
you
what?
guys. Well, it just was a little bit random.
No more than the one we're about to do.
Yeah. No, we can. And this was going to be the week for conspiracy theories, but I think we're going to
Pass.
pass unless you really
Because they're all coming true.
Well, that's why we wanted to say, what we used to think was crazy, but now we know it's true.
Give me a good for instance on that. Because everybody has that. That's not unique to any one of us. We used to think it was crazy that what?
There were chemtrails in the sky.
Are there? Are you kidding me right now? Do you really believe that?
You were the one that talked about this 15 years ago, I think. And I'm like, it's just vapor from the planes, babe. And you're like, no, it's not,
I wish.
babe. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but now they're almost like openly admitting it.
It's not almost. And
They are.
It's
Yeah.
Yeah.
But for so long, that was hush hush. So that was one of the ones that I was thinking of. But and we did used to think just the idea that they would do that to our air was crazy.
Well, it's for your own good. You know, anytime the government does something like that, it's always, A, it's going to be hush-hush until it's not, and then B, it's always for your own good. Mm-hmm. Wear a mask, it's for your own good, and you're protecting other people. And take this shot. You won't get sick and you can't give it to other people. And then what happens over the course of time is it's revealed to be less than true.
Right.
Or who was it? Newton. We just talked about Newton a minute ago.
Yeah. Graham was chiming in.
Super smart guy. Until you eat too much metal and then, you're...
Did he really inject himself with mercury?
I believe he was eating or drinking. I don't know. So yeah, sometimes the smartest people, or the people who are that we've been led to believe are the smartest people, it's revealed maybe not so much were they the smartest people at the moment. They're smart sometimes. I think that was the gist of that conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. But nobody's, necessarily going to get them all right. And too much mercury or too much metal or whatever it was that he ate was not beneficial to his overall health and well-being.
Not necessarily by injection as we think of with needles today, but he loved experimenting with it. And
Was it mercury?
it was mercury.
Okay.
Possibly even through direct contact, probably holding it. It's kind of a fun little,
Who knows?
the way it gloms together. Or
Have you ever held
inhalation.
mercury? Have you ever played with mercury? Same. We did
Yeah.
that. And
We were
broke a thermometer, I think.
I feel like it was at my grandparents' house.
I don't know.
I feel like that's where I saw it, and it was just on his hand, my grandfather's hand, and he's just kind of whirling it around, a little tiny ball. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, everybody makes, good decisions or not good decisions.
Sometimes you just don't know what you don't
and
know.
you don't know. Like
Right.
when he was playing with it, he didn't know how poisonous it was. But
Or was it?
that leads us to
What?
AI. Well, that's a big
I was
jump.
going to say lead. It
I was
used
going to
be
talk
that-
about mercury fillings.
See, now our dental friends are going to chime in.
I know, but there's
Perfectly safe.
But there are perfectly safe ones,
Okay.
right? The composite fillings that look like the color of your teeth, those are safe. Like, why are some dentists moving away from it if it's completely safe?
I don't know.
Yeah,
If you're not allowed to play with it in your hands, why would it be okay to put it in your mouth?
right. Yeah. I mean, that's something that makes me go,
If your pills are too toxic to flush down the toilet, why are they safe to put in your mouth? I don't know the answer to these things.
Well, and it's not, I mean, and a lot of these things we're not going to have answers to because it does make you wonder, but it also means.
So that's kind of the focus of the episode
knowledge.
is things that make you go,
Yeah. Yeah.
Things that make you go, I wonder why that is.
I wonder why that is.
Huh.
And some of the things we know through research, and if you can trust research even, I mean, like there's so much stuff where it's like, I would never say, but now we know is true. That was what we used to think was crazy, but now we know is true. But it's hard to know what's true anymore. I mean, just that statement itself feels weird to me.
Yep. But who's the author of confusion?
The devil.
Well,
Truly.
right. But at the end of the day, I'm not going to say that anymore.
Okay.
Yeah, that was
it
my
just one
last
time?
Yeah, that was my last
Or two?
at the end of the day.
Okay.
And that's my filler. I have this problem where
It's not a problem.
just
It's just a
it
habit.
is. It's not like smoking, but it's a bad habit.
And speaking
We
of
used to
that,
think it was safe, and now we know it's not.
that make you
things
say,
that make you go, Doctors recommend Camel for pregnant patients.
Yeah.
Really? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it'll calm her down.
yeah.
Or sometimes she needs a little pick-me-up at the end of the day.
Right.
Nicotine or, Coca-Cola.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean, all of those things. There we go. Yeah. So are there some other things that you're thinking of that make you go, I mean, you come up with, how about we talk about your Sasquatch videos that you're enjoying right now? That makes me go,
I wish I didn't love them, but I do.
So what do you love about them?
Like
I know
just
they
hilarious.
entertain you.
Yeah, it's just entertaining.
The ones where you were showing me he was running with the bandana on his head?
Yeah. Running through the woods just for reasons he doesn't understand. Or he'll eat a whole bag of mushrooms. Or he's got a pet. He'll say, oh, this is my new bro, my new friend. This is Ricky the chicken. And Ricky's my best friend now. And then 2 clips later, he's roasting him on a spit. Like, Ricky had to leave for a little while, so I'm going to go ahead and eat this. It's just dumb, but it's funny. Yeah.
It is interesting. Actually, I really had wanted Caitlin to come on this episode, and I was thinking that, but she was saying clients too late. I think she might have. I said, I think it would be really, really fun for you and Dad to sit here and show all your favorite memes. Just have a whole episode about memes.
Some of our memes would not be good for public consumption.
Really.
That's
Is there
true.
anything off limits?
How do you know what's real anymore?
But I thought it would be really fun because that's one of the ways that you two communicate.
Yeah.
You'll send memes back and forth to each other. And Grace could sit in on the meme thing too.
And we should all 3 be here for that.
Yeah, you guys could have your own episode. And Graham
And
could
Lily
put
has
up
her
the-
own brand of funny.
Oh,
it's,
yeah,
it's
but it's not
slightly
really memes.
it's slightly different than
Does she send you
Grace and
memes?
Kate's. No.
No, yeah.
But
We're not
she's
really
not unfunny. She's just
no.
funny in a different way.
Memes are like, she and I don't really get the memes that you guys
I
laugh
don't know,
about.
which is part of what makes it hilarious,
Yeah.
actually. Like, if I have to explain it to you, A, it was a wasted meme, and B, you just don't get it, and it's not that funny.
I don't, but you and Caitlin communicate, so I thought that would be a funny one to do. But it's kind of reminded these videos that you've been kind of latched onto lately. That's
That,
kind
and
of
I like
reminds me
my
of
boy
that.
called Taven Dillard.
Yes, do you want to do his voice?
Oh no, it's dumb. But if you just did a search on Taven, we'll put a picture up of Taven.
Yeah.
And he's a funny dude, but Taven is a character that this guy has created. I don't even know the real guy's name. And his teeth, he'll put in these fake teeth
Yeah.
and talk about the silliest things, which I also find super funny. I don't know why. I just do. So, but yeah, he's a stand-up. He does different things. He's got swag and T-shirts and hats, and I haven't purchased any of Tavin's stuff. But no, he does a good job. He can spin a story like the craziest thing on the quick. I don't know how he even rehearses
Okay,
it.
so when you show me those ones, I do think those are funny.
I do too.
Yeah,
And now and again, you need a little bubble gum for your mind.
you do.
That's,
but
you
not
know,
a lot.
I sometimes need more than average.
Than the average person or
Yeah.
the average
Well,
day.
Than the average day, yeah. Well, I mean, it depends.
How so? Why? What's
Some of it is you let your brain go to the wrong places. Or if you're watching political things,
Oh,
or
I
you're
see what
watching
you're saying.
riots on the video clips, or
Yes.
you're watching,
Which
the
we
wrong
try
things
not to
into
watch,
your
yeah.
mind. This is how you undo that, is with, a little bit of
that's true.
tomfoolery.
Yeah, because sometimes if we watch a movie that's too intense,
Yes.
then we'll watch an episode of Cheers.
Right.
And it's like before you
a
go to
palate
bed.
cleanser.
Yeah, palate cleanser.
Yes, it's like sorbet for your brain. You cleanse your palate with some mindless funniness.
Man, that's making me think of Glenn Laurel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. You between courses, you have to get rid of the old flavor to introduce new.
Yeah. Some of I'm just going to throw this out there because maybe we can get some people to chime in on some conspiracy theories that we can talk about in another episode. But some of the ones that I had pulled up were the food pyramid was never about health. Fluoride in the water for our teeth, ? Big pharma versus natural healing. Was the Women's Health Initiative study rigged? Are seed oils a government-approved poison? Everything is endocrine disrupting on purpose? What if obesity is manufactured?
Oh my gosh.
That's not even some heavy hitting ones because I was like, I asked her.
No, they're all that's all real. And they're all connected.
They are, yeah.
And what are they all connected to? What would be the common denominator in seed oil sickness, obesity, disease and sickness promotion? What would be the common denominator? What's the theme there?
Well, there's a couple of different themes here. Some of it is
we're about to lose a whole bunch of listeners, or gain a whole bunch of listeners.
Well, I was going to say government is one of the things, but also pharma, but also big food. I mean, they all have in all of those things that they have something to gain.
What?
Money,
That's
funds,
one.
control.
Two. Yeah, power or control. I think those are synonyms in that conversation.
Yeah. But anyways, we don't need to talk about them. I was just throwing them out there. And
Well, there's also a whole segment, not a whole segment. There's a small segment of the people on the planet who actually think there are too many people on the planet.
Correct.
Like the way to save the planet is get rid of the people.
Yes.
And so there are agendas connected to that. And if you keep people kind of fat and kind of sick, kind of slow, kind of stupid, you can make a ton of money managing their fat, sick, slow stupidity. Make a lot of money. But you also can control them in a way that makes it somehow fun if you're a person who likes to be in control.
Yeah.
And then they die off. So you win all the way around. You collect a lot of money. You keep people where you think they should be. And then you thin the herd.
Yeah.
So there's a conversation to be had about
For sure.
that.
Because will we
Which
ever
is
really
why
know?
I think the Bigfoot videos are so awesome.
Yes.
Because if you let your mind go down those rabbit holes,
Yeah.
ooh, Nelly, it's hard to want to get up in the morning,
Right.
knowing that. Which again is part of that conversation.
Right.
Like, why bother if
Why
it's all
bother?
going down the toilet?
Yeah.
Well, here's why bother: because God's still God, and we're still built in His image, and He still expects us to represent the kingdom, and so you can't necessarily let your brain go into the wrong corners of the universe. You got to keep them in the right side of things.
Right. Exactly.
If you looked at the fruits, and I had this conversation today with somebody in the practice, because fear is a big driver of behavior. Fear is a very powerful tool for behavior modification. And so, but if you looked in the fruits of the Holy Spirit, which I think is in Galatians, somewhere in Galatians, maybe
5:23.
Yes, thank you. You would not find fear among that list.
No, it would be
You would
the
not
opposite.
find disharmony. You would not find destruction. You would not find. So when you look at the fruits of the Holy Spirit, if it's not in that list, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, gentleness, long-suffering, if you don't see it in that list, then it's coming from another source.
Right.
And I think people dramatically underestimate the source that those things are coming from. And they don't necessarily plug into the fact that what we're dealing with is a spiritual battle, not a battle of flesh and blood. And
It's so easy to get away from that, though, to what truth is.
if everybody would unplug their TV, turn off their computer, and get out in the woods for a bit.
Yeah.
Walk in your yard barefoot.
And right. Right.
Journaling is super helpful for clearing out your brain. But yeah, to turn off all your electronics. 1 week, I dare you. Like 1 week, no electronics. Take them away from your kids. You'll have about 3 days worth of detox because they're going to throw a tantrum because they don't know what to do because they've been led to believe that's normal. But at the end of the day,
what's wrong?
I just said at the end of the day again.
Oh.
So I had to cut, but
and then
I
you
stopped.
looked out there. I'm like, is Bigfoot out there?
Yeah.
Did you just spot him in our woods?
So yeah, the reality is if we would just unplug for a minute, you can't be scared if you're not watching scary images. If you're watching people riot, if you're watching people get shot, if you're watching those shows, there are shows on TV, you know, those NCI type of shows or the murder, crime, you know, rape, pestilence, famine, fire, flood. If you're letting that into your subconscious mind, your brain doesn't know whether it's fact or fiction. Your brain doesn't separate truth from fiction.
Right.
It just reacts. So the subconscious brain says, well, if you're going to live in this horrible world, let me keep your nerve system locked in defense mode. And if it stays locked in defense mode, you can't heal. You can't sleep. You can't recover. Your immune system is suppressed.
But that's what's making it feel safe.
Right.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
Well, it's making it feel safe because it's feeling that if it has to run away, it's ready to go. Right.
But you can only run so long before. That's the other thing in those shows. They'll show these cop shows where you're chasing somebody for 2 miles. Nobody runs 2 miles. You can't watch the fat, sick, slow guy run 2 miles and still not huff it up. So, but people are underestimating the impact of that on their overall well-being. And so when you look at things that make you go,
Yeah.
you know why they call them TV programs?
Programming.
Well, they're designed to program you.
Yeah.
And if they keep you sick and fat and slow and stupid, and then they run advertising that says, buy this food, eat this trash, do this thing, consume these products, it's horrible.
Yeah.
We can't air this episode. This is going to have to all go in the dumpster.
So here's one of the things that used to be think was crazy, but now we know is true, is chiropractic used to be considered fringe.
Chiropractic used to be considered quackery. Labeled as such.
But
And
now
depending
top athletes and even hospitals will start integrating it.
That's a whole separate conversation. But yes, for athletic performance, it's kind of like idiot proof to say. Well, and again, chiropractic care, there's nothing mysterious. It's not a belief system. People will say all day, I don't believe in chiropractic. Well, you don't have to.
Yeah.
It's not a belief system.
Right.
Does the body heal itself? Does it recover on its own? Does it regulate itself? And if it does, then all you got to do is find ways to optimize its capacity to do that. If the brain has anything to do with any of that stuff, healing, regulatory function, and the establishment of normal physiology, if the nerve system's connected to it, that means nerve interference is bad. And that's why they don't let people drink and drive, because chemicals can interfere with your nerve system function.
Right.
But so can emotions, and so can spiritual things, and so can structural things. So when the spine's injured to the point of misalignment, it can actually start jacking around with signals to and from your brain, which by definition starts to affect the health of that person. And then they get locked into fight or flight, which is called sympathetic dominance. And fight or flight physiology is meant to be a short-term getaway mechanism. It's not meant to be a lifestyle. So when your nerve system gets locked into sympathetic dominance, it doesn't heal very well. It doesn't sleep very well. The cardiovascular system is stressed. The immune system is suppressed. And it facilitates that fat, sick, slow, lethargic world.
So the thing that makes me go, about that is why more people aren't seeking out chiropractic care to take care of their bodies.
I think there's two reasons for that. One of them is chiropractors have done a crappy job at telling that story.
Yeah.
Because they wanted to be accepted by the real doctors, and they wanted to join country clubs, and they wanted to go to the hospitals. And so at the end of that time period, that 24-hour segment, dang it. The reality is chiropractors have not done a good job of saying, here's what is chiropractic. Chiropractors have allowed the culture to shift and shape what they think chiropractic should be.
So what you're saying is that the public at large is still very much unaware of the benefits of chiropractic on their wellness and health.
Not very many people are picking up research journals and scientific journals and understanding the relationship between spine, nerve system, and whole body health. So you're not going to see that on TV.
Right.
It doesn't come in a pill bottle. It doesn't come in a lotion bottle. It doesn't come in a way that makes it easy to dispense. And consequently, the consumer has been led to believe certain things about their health that may or may not be truthful. Nobody has a headache because they're low on aspirin. You know, you don't have indigestion because you're low on little purple pills. But we've been led to believe we can smother up some of that stuff and ignore why it's happening, and then continue to just get into the mechanisms that we discussed earlier.
Right.
So not to go on like a 10-minute rant, but that's what's gotten us in a little bit of trouble is not knowing the whole truth. Things that make you go,
Yeah.
like if my body actually does heal itself, what might get in its way?
Yeah.
You know? And so anything that's getting in the way, whether it's spiritual things, chemical things, structural things, emotional things, if you get rid of what's in its way and allow it to go back to doing much more normal stuff in a much more normal format, pretty much your health can come back online.
Yeah. Yeah. For sure.
And I know we've talked about that before.
I know,
and,
yeah.
You know,
But it's always
toxicity
a
and deficiency
good
and all that stuff.
reminder. Yeah.
It's just hard to watch. It's hard to watch people get locked into it. It's hard to not get locked into it ourselves. You know, to be fair, not everybody.
Last week was a terrible week for me.
Yeah.
I was really struggling.
there.
I know. And I felt so bad. You felt like you thought it was you. And I'm like, no, this is not
Well, most
you.
things are about me.
No. And then I saw Michelle today, and she's such a healer too. And she does craniosacral therapy.
Right.
And I'm not going to give out her name. We talked about her being on the podcast. She's like, Lisa, I just had 3 people that I had to turn away.
Right.
You know, she's wanting to retire in a couple of years, and her schedule's full.
Right.
But she does have 4 people that she refers to now. So I'm like, well, we could still have you come on, and then you could, you know, we could always share those links. But, you know, she found a lot of stuck energy from last week. And I had Allie work on me too and release some of the trapped emotions that I was struggling with. And, but the cool thing, and it sounds so crazy, some of the things that, like, whether it's body code or craniosacral, because she's like, what is going on in your stomach? And she's like, I just feel like there's this big ball in there. And I'm like, you know, not my stomach, but like my lower abdomen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I don't know, but like inside I really did know. And I'm like, yesterday was my dad's death day, and it's really hard for me. And so she's feeling around, and she said, okay, I want you to just ask your body out loud, what is this? And what are we going to do about it? And I'm like, okay, it's a perfectly round ball. I said, it feels really heavy. It's kind of like off-white. It's very shiny. And she's like, okay. And I'm like, I think you need to take it out of my back. And so, you know, she starts working on it, and it's just all that energetic movement. And she's got very healing hands. Sometimes she's touching I'm dressed completely, but either touching that area or above the area. And so, you know, she starts just pulling it out, and there's so much heat coming off my body. Like my face was getting bright red, and I just, like, I felt like I needed to take the covers off even. And she goes, this is really good. She goes, we're getting rid of it. And then, you know, took about 15 minutes, and we got it all worked out, and I could feel such a relief in my abdomen. And then, you know, and I was thinking about it as I was driving home, and I'm like, oh, it was a cue ball from a pool table because we used to shoot
That's
pool.
what you were, as you were saying that, that's exactly what I imagined.
Yeah, no, it didn't, when I was on the table with her, that's not what I envisioned. But, you know, craniosacral is another thing where people would think was crazy, but also, because I left feeling so phenomenal. And I've been getting better and better since last week. You know, she said all last week, she had patient after patient that was same thing. Feeling
world is stuck.
sad and stuck and glum and just overwhelmed. And she said, and then throw the strawberry moon on top of that. And it's just like a recipe for disaster. Yeah. But it was, you know, but that's another thing. It's a different type of healing. And
No, it's actual healing.
a different.
That's the thing. We've been led to believe.
From chiropractic. Chiropractic is healing. Craniosacral is healing.
Similar,
body
but not the same.
Exactly.
Right. But people have been led to believe that there's something in a pill bottle for them, or that they have too many organs, so you just have them taken out.
No, it's
that's
totally easier.
what we've been led to believe, where healing, and that's not where healing comes from. Healing comes an inside job.
And sometimes it comes with tears flowing out of your eyeballs.
Right.
And
It's like
just
emotional vomit.
And it's called somatic healing,
Yep.
you know, where it's somatic energetic healing, I think. And so and part of that crying, and it's not like I was sobbing, but, you know, I was
Right.
crying,
Yes.
you know, and part of that release is what heals. And so, but it would have been easier for me to not talk about it and just say, no, thank you, Michelle.
Right.
And just
Move on.
hurry up because I need to go get my nails done or whatever.
Sure.
But I needed to do that. And Dad's been gone for 18 years. And so it's like, how can I still feel that way after 18 years?
Everybody underestimates that.
Oh, my
You are
for
not
sure.
weird. And see, we think we're bulletproof or we think we have better solutions sometimes, but you know what? We're just like everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And things get stuck and things get troublesome. And
And it was like last week, it was almost like my physiological and emotional self both knew that the 16th was coming. And it was almost like I was preparing myself for it in some way, not intentionally. You know, as I was going through the week, I definitely wasn't thinking that.
okay.
But then yesterday it was kind of like, oh, and I had a horrible headache that, you know, and it already adjusted me. So it was totally an emotional headache.
Right.
So, yeah, so there was that. Sorry,
Thanks for sharing.
that wasn't on our notes. Sometimes I just don't know where it's going to go. It's just conversation. But one of the things that I was going to talk about, though, was how touch heals. And we've talked about this before about hugs. And like to just survive, you need to have 4 hugs a day. So for people that maybe don't get any hugs, what's happening to them? Yeah.
I get it.
Yeah.
But they're
So
germy. You don't want to hug, you don't want to touch people.
4
you
hugs
know?
a day for survival,
Keep your mask on. Don't touch things.
8 hugs a day for maintenance, and 12 hugs a day for healing and
Yeah.
growth.
Yep.
So
A big old stinky, sweaty, get together, heart to heart hug is there's no substitute for it.
you know what's interesting is there's a 2014 Carnegie Mellon study. It's kind of a weird name. It's a study that found people who received more hugs were less likely to get sick. So like there's an actual study, even though they were saying hands off everybody.
Sure.
Yeah. And I know that seems like a long time ago, but it's not. And I don't want to have to relive it.
The power of touch and the power of communication and the power of vibrational frequency is nothing new. It's
Right.
just been suppressed.
It has, yeah.
And again, if I wanted to keep people miserable, if I wanted to keep them scared, if I wanted to keep them slow and fat and miserable, I would just tell them, don't touch anything, don't come out of your house, and don't,
Don't go visit your loved ones.
oh my
Yeah.
gosh.
So
much
in the
criminal
science
activity.
behind that is it does release oxytocin and serotonin and dopamine too. So it has real therapeutic
Yes. Merit,
merit. Yeah.
value.
Value. Yeah. In
I had
sunshine.
a little guy today.
So-
Here's a weird
go
thing. His dad had called. We did a phone consult less than a month ago. This little boy's 3, having multiple seizures a day.
Oh, wow.
We've got him on several different meds. I think we've adjusted him now. Today was his 3rd visit. But after his visit last week, they met a new neurologist. And these parents are trying hard. They're just looking for answers.
What's going on? They think he has
Epilepsy and
epilepsy.
seizure.
Vaccine induced or no?
I don't know the answer to that. What I know is last week after his visit here, he had a new EEG the next day. So he's had 3 EEGs prior to coming here that had abnormal brainwave activity. And we talked about here's what we do and here's why we do it. And they're on board. And it was super fun. And he's got a man-sized misalignment in a tiny boy, 3, almost 4-year-old body. They had their EEG last week and it was completely normal for the first time in his life.
What?
And so we had a nice cry about that today.
No kidding.
Yeah, super cool. And so the body wants to do the right thing. And now they're weaning him away. They have to back him down because all the meds they had him on will make him so sick if they
gosh.
don't.
Yeah.
So the
That
body
also makes
is
you go,
engineered for success.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really need any help. It just can't be interfered with.
You're right. Yeah.
And so when you talk about a game changer at 3 years old, does that
yeah.
change the course of a 3-year-old
my
life?
gosh,
Does
yeah.
it affect the parents and the people that are interacting with them on a family level? And I mean, it's wild when you think about the ripple effect coming off of one kid
Yeah.
and the impact that those things have. So if we had a message for people today, it would
Right.
be stop underestimating your ability to do the right things if you just set the right stage.
Yeah. To heal.
If it's not listed in the fruits of the spirit, you got to put it on the back burner somewhere. It needs to go away. 1 week, no media. It's a game changer for your overall health and well-being.
Other things that we used to think were crazy. Getting sunshine.
Oh, the sun's the enemy. You got to
Sun's the
slather
enemy.
all this toxic crap all over your
Yeah.
skin so the sun doesn't get you.
But what we know is that we do need the sun and morning sun for about 20 minutes, just being outside.
Yeah, you don't need to scorch yourself into looking like a brown leather suitcase, but you do
no
need some sun.
sunglasses.
It needs to go
bare
through your
chest.
eyes. It needs to
Yeah.
go through your skull. It needs to hit your brain.
Yeah. And
God
that's
wouldn't
what
have put it in the
activates
center
it.
of the universe if it didn't have some value.
Right. And the good thing about doing that morning, if you can do it morning and evening, it's even better.
Sure.
Because then it sets your circadian rhythm really well, so you sleep better too.
Yep.
And so, not always putting on sunscreen. Yes, you do need to have some protection, but I really wrestle with that. I have a hard time. I don't use sunscreen usually.
I never use sunscreen.
Yeah. Well, you do sometimes on your
I'll
ears.
put it on
and
my
golf.
ears if you
Make you.
me.
These guys golf together. Do you wear sunscreen, Graham? You usually have a pretty red neck. Yeah.
No. I just wear a hat.
So the other thing that we used to think was crazy, and actually we didn't used to think it was crazy, like our grandparents would make bone broth. I don't know if your grandparents did. I know that they weren't really bone broth people, but
my
mine
grandma
were.
made maple cookies, and they were delicious.
So like using real butter, those
Tricked
are
into
things.
the margarine thing, tricked into the fake
margarine
food
thing.
mac and cheese thing,
Yeah.
tricked into the,
Yeah.
this white bread is way better than anything that comes from the earth.
Exactly.
Blah, blah, blah.
Frankenfoods.
Yeah. We've been kind of roped into a convenience eating rather than a healthy lifestyle eating.
But when you realize, like, have a bowl of chicken soup when you don't feel good, there is actual science behind why that's important. It's the glycine is so great. It's gut healing. It is high in collagen, so it's also healing. And just psychologically, just that comfort food part of it. It's just so good. I do have a recipe on my new website in the blog section of it, and you can just search bone broth. And
Can we put a link
bring
to
it up.
that so people
We
can find it?
Yes, we can.
All right, fine.
We can. Breath work and prayer.
What about it?
The value of that when it comes to healing too. I mean, I think that in current thinking with the vagus nerve and what we know about the body now, but we didn't maybe know about that 50 years ago, and putting it all together, we just knew that we felt better, but didn't really know about the vagus nerve. I mean, that's kind of just come up, in the last 10 years where people talk about it a lot?
In certain circles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
General circles.
But the vagus nerve is how you get out of sympathetic dominance.
Right.
Right.
And so,
Parasympathetic stimulation is the opposite of sympathetic dominance.
Mm-hmm.
So anything you do that takes you out of sympathetic dominance
Mm-hmm.
and activates vagus activity will
Mm-hmm.
be beneficial to your heart, beneficial to your guts, beneficial to your immune system, beneficial to your musculoskeletal system, beneficial to your endocrine system,
Mm-hmm.
the list goes on. Because the body can either be in fight or flight, or it can be in healing and restoration.
Mm-hmm.
It can't be in both modes at the same time. It can't heal in fight or flight.
right.
It'll only fight or flee. And all the things connected to fight or flight are what's called catabolic. They break the body down versus anabolic, which is what builds the body back up again.
Which is the
And so,
resting part.
exactly. So anabolic things come in parasympathetic dominance, not sympathetic dominance. That's where your food digests. That's where your hormones are balanced. That's where your sleep pattern comes back. That's where your joy level goes up. Because if there was a bear chasing you through the woods, fight or flight is not about any of those things. Your memory's in the tank. Your emotions are in the tank. You're short-circuited, short-fused. You don't like your life very well. You don't sleep worth a hoot. It's a stressful life, and it shortens your life.
Yeah.
It takes the joy out of what's there, and it makes it a lot shorter.
Someday we should talk about the difference between joy and happiness. But I wanted to talk about the box breathing, because that's an easy thing that people can do when they are feeling like they're in fight or flight.
Go ahead. Tell me more.
Box breathing?
Tell me.
The way I do it, in fact, this was part of my session today to help with that, with the stuckness, is box breathing is inhale for the count of 4, hold for 4, exhale for 4, hold for 4. So I think of it as a box. So it's box breathing. I have a link that I send to a lot of my clients.
Okay.
To try to help them with some stress management things.
And if you're focusing on those 4 counts, if you're focusing on that rhythm, if you're focusing on things that are bringing oxygen into your brain and allowing you to just kind of take away, it means that fight or flight thing has to be put on the back burner.
It has to, because you're definitely focusing on that. There's some times where I'll breathe in a prayer, breathe in the Holy Spirit, and then hold for a minute, and then just breathe out all the negativity.
Yeah, breathe in thanks and breathe out stress.
Yeah,
breathe in thanks, gratitude, praise, joy. Breathe out the trash. Yeah.
So it's a simple trick, and it works. You just have to make yourself sit down and do it. I mean, but that
means no phone, no computer, no TV, no.
Speaking of phone, I left my phone somewhere. I don't know where it is. It must be at the house.
I think that's called a gift.
I think that's just wild.
Yeah. For
I
you
was
to be
running
more
out
than
the
3
door.
feet away from your phone at any given time is magic.
Yeah. Okay. Here is some sillier things that make you go,
Okay.
Why does a Pop-Tart get a health stamp, but raw milk gets you flagged?
Good question.
It makes you go, right?
Just a reflection of who's in charge.
Right, exactly. So you guys can all think about this. Maybe you can share your answers or thoughts. We outlawed lawn darts, but handed out OxyContin like candy.
The lawn dart thing was the bomb.
Well, it was, but did kids actually get killed with that?
I don't know that they got killed. You might have gotten punctured, but at the end of the day, it's really not the worst thing in the world.
I just remember, we had them too.
We had them too. Jarts.
Yeah.
They're called jarts.
Oh,
but now,
and Michelle was also talking to me about her grandson who was at Boy Scout camp a couple of, last month. And they were chopping wood and the axe fell between his toes and cut his foot open. Almost off completely. And they
Lesson learned.
I know. Well, it was 25. It took 25 minutes for them to get to them. Thankfully, they were prepared Boy Scouts, so they had tourniquets, and because he was bleeding bad.
Right.
It was an axe, and
was he wearing flip flops or something?
No, I think this was with maybe tennis shoes. I don't know if they were wearing boots or not. I doubt they were wearing flip flops. I don't think
Technique matters.
Yeah, technique matters. Let's see. So we talked about the bone broth, the morning sun. Oh, homegrown food. Graham, I wish you would chime in on this a little bit. I just got to enjoy the most delicious radish, still warm, right out of Graham's garden. Are you not going to say anything? But what else are you growing?
Yeah, Graham, what else are you growing?
Where's your microphone?
Oh, it's not plugged in.
Oh. If it's just sitting there, would it? You
But there's something super
know.
therapeutic about growing your own food. Is that fair? Yeah. It's going to be meritorious no matter what.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. And you got to pick the soil that you planted your seeds in. You grew everything from seed. You didn't just go and buy the plants that were already started at Lowe's, which you had no idea how they started out, and then watered them, fertilized them, right? A little bit. And then you kind of had to adjust the soil a little bit for different things. This was his first year, so it was it's really fun though. I love it. container gardens, right? They're raised beds, yeah. So yeah, that was really fun. So thanks for the radish. I love that.
Feeling saddish? Have a radish.
Yeah, that's a Caitlinism. You know what else activates parasympathetic dominance, or how would you say that? Just
Tell me more.
saying a prayer before a meal. And I actually witnessed this with Honey the other day. When you were saying a prayer before we ate, that was probably 2 Sundays ago, the look on her face was so calm. And she was just kind of looking around at everybody. And it was like I saw her take a deep breath in. Just kind of.
Yeah, because she was having a rowdy minute there before.
Yeah. And then she asked for you to do it again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we do that again? So, I mean, just watching a little person, they're such sponges for energy. And so, I could see how it was changing her physiology. And I'm like, on some level, it's doing it to all of us.
Yes.
So that's a very simple thing. And plus, that's just such a good thing for
Just
gratitude.
a healing thing, yeah.
And then walking barefoot, grounding, most people know about that, but it really does help the heart rate variability too.
True.
It would be fun to do that as an experiment here because you have the heart rate variability machine. I could be wearing my little heels and then you could do it. And then I could go outside and walk around for 15 minutes and then come back and see. We could have our own little research project.
Make a note.
Anything else you want to share?
No.
What do your notes say?
I don't know. I feel like I already blew it up. Like we're going to have to X out like half.
No, I don't think so.
We'll see. I don't know. You know what, though? Sometimes it's okay to know who you're dealing with. It's okay to know that, we have times and days just like everybody else where we're less than optimum or we're feeling less than well. But we're always going to look to the most natural source for things to restore that wellness or that health and well-being. But we're just like everybody else. You have good days and you have days where you're just not that good. But we get to witness some fun things on a regular basis with your clients, with our clients. I mean, it's when you can help people understand the value of taking better care of themselves, their currency goes up, their value in the system goes up, whether it's their parenting or their workplace or their church life or whatever. You get to bring a better version of yourself to the world, and that's what we're promoting.
Yeah. And sometimes living well means unlearning what you think that you know. Being open and being curious about new ways of thinking. I think that's all part of living well too.
Yeah, being willing to unlearn some things is a big deal.
Yeah.
And again, man, just shut off your media. Take a week off.
Except for keep watching us.
Or not. Take a week off.
Email us.
You can always go backlogging episodes or binging it, whatever. But take a week off. You won't miss a thing.
Yeah.
It'll be just as insane.
So a lot of times we would pair the 21-day purification program from Standard Process with a social media fast as well.
Yeah.
It's harder to do like a full phone fast, but I suppose you could do that or do weekends for that or along those lines.
Just modify it. Just interrupt the pattern you got. That's all. Keep doing what you've been doing. You keep getting what you got now. If you don't like it, do something else.
Yeah.
Super simple. Yeah. That's our nugget for the day.
You're so good at those nuggets.
Whatever.
No, you are. I always learn so much from you, babe.
Sure you do.
I do, even after 39 years.
Crazy.
I know. It is crazy. Yeah. So what should they do?
I would subscribe and then like and share with. Yeah, if you like what's going on.
And just
if you don't, just
a virtual high five to Dolores Ford. We love you so much, Dolores, and we thank you for all of your sweet comments.
That's so true. She's a beast.
She's a gem. Yeah, we appreciate it.
I love it.
Bye, friends. We'll talk to you later. Yeah, we are.
See you next time.
Bye. If we kind of flow through the way it is, I mean, I've looked at it as much as you.
Drew a dick on here.
Graham did. Graham, did you think he wouldn't notice it? Or you knew he would?
Put the pen right there, sir.
Yeah. Whoa, hey. I'm back in 7th grade.